And I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free.
AJ, are you allowed to say where you're going yet, or is it top secret still?
I don't think it's a big secret. I mean, I'm going to Philadelphia. I don't know why it would be a big secret.
I don't know. You might have already said it. I just want to make sure people knew, though, because some people were like, which series does AJ have? So I didn't respond yet, but now we can.
No. Yeah, Philadelphia. Leave
Against
bright and
who?
early tomorrow morning. We'll see in my locks.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay. Hey, before we dig in, too, do you like the format? Some people are complaining about the format now because there have been a lot of sweeps. Like, it's such a small sample size. I think it's fun. What do you want? We're not going to have an extended series. We're not going to have a best of 5, right? You can't have the bye week people sit for more days. But what do we want to go backwards to the wild card games? Like, I thought everyone didn't like that.
Those are all sweeps, too. Every one of those one-game wild cards were sweeps. I just want people to know. So if you don't want to sweep, you don't want to go back to that. What are we going to go, hey, let's play the best of 4 guys. Everybody gets 2, and then we just flip a coin. If that doesn't go our way, then we'll try something else. Like, come on. There's got to be something. You can't keep lengthening series without repercussions on pitching and hitters and players and everything else. So I like it the way it is. I like the 3 games. Listen, the home teams haven't fared very well. And what can they say? They can't say they had time off because they had the same time off. Now, home field advantage doesn't mean much except for San Diego, who's the better team than Atlanta. Plus, the home field advantage for San Diego, Atlanta had to fly to San Diego after playing their game on Monday. That's the home field advantage. They had to go from Atlanta to 5 hours to San Diego. So that was the home field advantage. And plus, San Diego was just better.
Yeah, they outplayed them. I don't disagree that each team outplayed the other team. I think the Royals, it was, a ball seeing eye hit here or there, got the victories, but I don't think. Yeah, I mean,
that's
we'll get into it more, but I don't think.
But that's the price you pay because you're not one of the top 2 teams. So there's going to be a little bit of luck, variance, and all of that in a short series.
It's not fair.
Life's not fair. If you don't like it, as Ken Rosenthal says, win more. So lastly, yes, I'm going to make a PSA for the FT fam because we love you dearly, and please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to comment on YouTube. And hey, to all those watching on Valley Sports, but if you've sent a message, either right now, I've seen some just now, asking for apologies every time we make one wrong prediction in a bracket, it ain't happening. I'm not apologizing for every series that I get wrong.
Why would we apologize?
Because you picked the wrong team, so you were doubting that team. I actually did get I had a friend who sent me a message yesterday about a series that I picked against his team. He works for a team. And I'm like, dude, like, what do you want me to say? He was like, you didn't pick us to win the World Series? I'm like, nah, I can't pick them all.
No, like, it's not like we're going with what our best option is and what we think it is.
It's a bracket. It's fun.
We're not damning your team to a sweep in the first round if we pick against them.
Yeah, the only thing that's a lock is the locks.
Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, think about me. I got to go to Philly tomorrow, and the Mets and the Brewers, they're playing tonight, and I have to walk into the clubhouse, and one of them is going to say, depending on who I picked tonight, is going to say, well, you picked against us. I'm like, yeah. I had a 50-50 shot, didn't I?
But hey, that's saying it with your chest. AJ's not going to be like, oh, I didn't pick this team and they made it. I'm not going to go in a clubhouse. Like, come on, man. Like, we're trying our best. We're giving you our reasons. It's fun. It's okay. We don't hate you as a person or your team.
Yeah, and also the players have fun with it. They're not looking at anybody being like, oh, you picked against us. How dare you? Yeah.
If a player heard it and wouldn't say something to me, like when we have a Tiger on tomorrow, if he heard that I said they weren't going to make the playoffs a week ago, if he doesn't call me out and he heard it, I would be disappointed.
Right. You want him to say, hey, who did you pick?
I'm not saying to hear everything. Don't listen.
Sure.
Of course I didn't have you in the playoffs. Like, you guys were 10 out.
Yeah, come on.
At the beginning of September. Like, No.
It's all in good fun. So let's have a good time with
Did
it.
you guys, speaking of 10 out, did you guys see the stat? It was 4 teams in the history of baseball have been 10 games out in like July or later or whatever it is and went on and made the playoffs, and all of them have won the World Series, like the 2011 Cardinals, the 69 Mets, and there was like 62 something. And the Tigers were the fourth, the 2024 Tigers were the fourth one or something like that. And the other ones have all won the World Series. So the Tigers, people were saying like the Tigers is meant to be.
That's good. I still don't think they're going to win the World Series. That rotation over a long series seems dicey to me, but it's a nice story. The one thing that gets skewed too with playoff records is that we have more playoff teams in now. What did you say? 69 Mets? I mean, that's how many teams made it back then? 2?
4.
I know, but here's the other thing. All it takes is one like bad outing by Skubal to affect all the Tigers stuff. Like if he goes out and gives them 4 innings one time, God forbid he has a bad start, that throws their whole thing into a complete, oh boy, what do we do now? Because they're going to have to cover innings they weren't counting on. So it's going to be interesting how Hinch handles those the rest of the way.
Yes, Hinch has a lot of work to do. So we'll get to them later. Let's charge the damn mound.
Charging the mound.
We'll start with the series that Kratz was hinting at.
That is
not forever. So if you're listening to the pod right now, we are showing a tombstone of the Orioles. They are still going to exist as a franchise. They're just done for 2024. So now they get to see actually their new ownership group get to work in the offseason. So that's exciting. But they lost to Kansas City, 2 low-scoring games. Their only offense came from Cedric Mullins, a home run yesterday. I think it took them, 14 innings to get their first run. Bobby Witt Jr., AJ beat them again.
Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, this is a little different situation, but they still had a base open, and they could have not pitched to him again, and they didn't. And he got I know it was an infield hit. You can say whatever you want. Yes, I know the Orioles didn't hit in this series. They scored 1 run in 2 games, but the Royals only scored 3 runs in 2 games. But the problem was 2 of those 3 were driven in by Bobby Witt in big situations where they could have pitched around him. So the Royals deserve a ton of credit for their pitching being so great. Their hitting not so great. The Orioles pitched better, I think, than people thought. Eflin threw well. Burns obviously threw amazing the first game. But Orioles, where do you go from here? Where's your offense? Santander is probably gone. Some other guys you're probably going to lose. So where do you go from here? You're counting on Jackson Holiday, a guy you wouldn't even put in a game in the playoffs. Kirsten Hersted, who you wouldn't even start in a game in the postseason. What happened to Adley Rutschman? There's a lot of questions here for the Orioles going forward, but congrats to the Kansas City Royals for what they did.
Yeah, and maybe they decided to pitch to Bobby Witt because Vinny Pasquantino was 2 for 3 with his extra swing velocity. Did you hear them talking about that?
I did hear that.
Since he came back from the injury.
It's from the metal plate.
Thing.
His swing velocity was up.
That's why he's better, his swing velocity.
Anyway.
Can you describe that for a sec, though? Because it was getting explained as if it's like a normal stat. They're like, his swing velo was up or whatever. And yes, we have swing metrics now. But does that mean anything?
AJ, what games did you swing faster in?
I have no idea.
Yeah, you have no idea. Vinny Pasquantino is not like, I'm going to give myself a 73-mile-an-hour swing here. I'm swinging. Anytime you try to swing faster, swing harder, it doesn't go faster. I promise.
No, it's not football where you can try harder and it does better. Trust me.
Right.
It's not football where you're like, I can go hit this guy harder. But here's 2 things from this game. One, they showed Vinny's injury. That was sick, by the way. That looked like Rowdy's thumb or finger from last year.
Colton Cowser.
Yeah, Colton Cowser. I mean, what? Just don't swing. You can't ball hit you in the back, and they have the lead. Like, I mean, listen, I've done it. I've been there. But here's the question I have: is if the ball hit him, hit him in the hand, and he took a swing and it went in fair territory, why were the Royals not allowed to turn a double play on that ball? Because I know I took a full swing, it hit me in the hand, hit me in the knuckles, and I didn't act like it hit me, and I just ran to first because the ball went to the pitcher. But how is that not a fair ball and you're allowed to play it?
Dead ball. A ball that hits you is a dead ball. It's automatically a dead ball. Even if it's in fair territory, foul territory, it's a dead ball because
like if it hits your foot.
If you would swing, hit your foot, and it goes away, it's a dead ball. It's
what happened to the hand as part of the bat trick? that we used to always hear.
I think that ended in Little League. I think
So I
that's
missed
some
that.
umpire.
I missed that opportunity when I swung. It was like a 1-1 count. I swung at a sinker in from a lefty, and it hit me in the knuckles. And I just ran to first. I should have been like, it hit me. I look like an idiot, but it hit me. I want another pitch.
I just want the strike. I don't want.
Yeah, I don't want to have to run.
You didn't have time to decide if you were going to make yourself look silly or not. But you said something. You said, well, now new ownership. You're going to get to see what this new ownership does in the offseason.
Correct.
Didn't we get a little sneak preview at the trade deadline?
No,
I'm
going to disagree.
You don't think they talked from the time that they officially bought the team?
I don't think the deadline was a money thing, which is usually where ownership flies in versus.
It's all money. We heard Jackson.
No, it was prospect hugging.
Yeah, but who did we have on said, how much is Jackson Holiday worth? $112 million.
Correct. But I still think it was
hugging.
Sure. But it was also prospect hugging. I mean, you don't have that opportunity. This is what I'm saying. In the offseason, you have the opportunity to say, hey, I'm obsessed with these particular prospects. I don't want to trade them for big bats or stars or whatever. I can buy it. You can't do that at the trade deadline. So this is the test in my mind. Sure, you can make a case and hey, we've smashed their trade deadline. They blew it.
But they wouldn't have upgraded their offense. So
no, and their offense is the problem. Their pitching was pretty good.
I don't think they blew it from the trade deadline standpoint. Eflin pitched really well. They picked up Burns in a trade in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Who saw the Orioles needing offensive help?
I think there was a case for one bat, but I get what you're saying.
I mean, one bat.
Yeah.
So that one
Second
bat.
half, there was a huge case. Second half, there was a huge case. He needed a whole bunch of bats because they didn't hit at all the second half. A lot of them. I mean, there was a ton of them that didn't hit in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that we would have said that at the trade deadline. I know I didn't say it. That the Orioles, man, you got to be careful. The Orioles could be the Dodgers in the playoffs. Like
right.
That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow when we talk about the Dodgers series coming up. They didn't hit in the playoffs last year. So how are they going to make that change? That's not, to me, that's not at the trade deadline. That's on the players. The players did not show up. The hitters did not show up.
Yeah, but do they have the right hitters for a championship ball club?
Yes.
They do?
If there's a guy that, I mean, Cedric Mullins was their best hitter, and he didn't hit very well at all. They're not like, oh, we got to rush back to get Cedric Mullins back on this team.
Sure.
Like,
no,
every
Santander
guys,
is by far their best bat.
They're going to live and die on Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson team. And Jordan
And
Westbrook.
sorry, Gunnar Henderson and Santander. I'm going to get crushed if I don't. Gunnar and Santander are by far their best bats this year.
Gunnar Henderson's their best bat. He's their best player, hands down.
Sign him now.
100%. But Westberg's back in the lineup. He was healthy. His swing looked good. He got some hits. Like, this team, the players just didn't do it. They didn't do it. And as an Orioles fan, I don't think you can be mad at your front office because they put the pieces in there. Not the best pieces, but the pieces that they put in there pushed them to the play. Put them where they needed to be. Hitters didn't step up.
Do you agree, AJ? Is that the problem here? I mean, obviously the Royals shut them down, and I give credit to the Royals pitching too, but was 100%. This an Orioles offense thing?
I think it was a combo. I think the Orioles pitched great, and I think the Orioles offense was below average, just to be nice. I think the biggest thing is we have to look at is the Orioles didn't make the move to put them over the top, okay, at the trade deadline. They didn't make the move the offseason. They got Corbin Burns. Great. They didn't go out and they solidified the bullpen. They did not. I mean, we love Craig Kimbrell. I love Craig Kimbrell to death. Great guy. One of the best dudes I ever played with, right? But are you going to count on Craig Kimbrell for 162 games to be your closer? We all know he goes like this, okay? Bautista was out. They didn't really fill those voids. Yes, they had injuries, but then at the trade deadline, they had more injuries. They had already lost, I want to say Darvish, but that's not his name, Bradish, excuse me. They had already lost Means. They had already lost, Kramer had barely pitched, right? They were basically a Corbin Burns and then whoever they could figure out, and they didn't go get these guys. That's why I asked the question yesterday. Jackson Holiday doesn't play. Hurstead doesn't play. They traded Mayo and the other guy for the guy that's in AAA, right? So what are they doing?
No. They traded Norby, Mayo, Norby, and
Norby.
Stowers.
Norby and
say
Stowers
Mayo,
for a
people
guy.
are going to freak out. But yeah.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, excuse me.
I'm just
They have so many.
Gotcha.
But here's the thing: they have so many prospects. Like you're like, all right, they have all these guys. Who contributed in the postseason for him? That's a prospect guy. Who?
Westbrook.
What did he do? He didn't do anything though. They scored 1 run in 2 games.
No doubt.
Okay, but so my thing is like if you have, and also it's a clubhouse thing. At some point, you have to go out and make a move to make your team feel like, hey, we're really trying. This is nothing against Eflin. This is nothing about the Sir Anthony Dominguez and Soto who did fine in their outings, right? But you got to go take the next step. And when are the Orioles going to take that next step and be serious about contending? There's only so long. Even the Astros. Mike Elias came up in the Astros. Who'd they go get when they won the World Series? Justin Verlander, right? They traded away some guys, and they're like, does anybody even remember who they traded away to get Justin Verlander? Did the Astros win the World Series? Yes, I know people are going to say, oh, they cheated. I don't care. They still won it, right?
Yeah.
But this happens every year. That's the point. Last year it was Jordan Montgomery. Every year there's a guy you point to. Not always the biggest guy. Like you go way back, Marco Scudero kind of additions, right? But Cody Ross.
Ross hitting 2 homers against Roy Halladay.
But generally making a splash at the deadline is very, very helpful. And they whiffed for the most part on that front, right? They whiffed on Kimbrel in the offseason too. That certainly hurt. But again, it was the offense. The offense was the problem, not the pitching. The pitching was pretty good.
I think we would be remiss too if we didn't give Salvador Perez more credit. He has gone into Baltimore 10 years apart and just shut down what's supposed to be a vaunted lineup. I know they didn't hit in the second half, but when we beat the Orioles back in 2014, Salvi did the exact same thing. He had a game plan for his pitchers, and I think the catcher deserves a lot of credit for holding good lineups in the playoffs down.
Good point. Yeah, Lugo generally was really good, right? Except for the Mullins homer. Ursig was money. That's your big trade addition. We talked him up big when he got added. That's been huge for them. That's their multi-inning closer if need be, right? He can give you more than 3 outs. All right, so props to the Royals. They move on. We'll talk plenty about them. And we'll come right back to also put the Astros to bed in 2024 with Brian McTaggart. We got that trade for you. Detroit got Franklin Perez, Daz Cameron, and the great Jake Rogers.
Daz Cameron.
Jake Rogers is on the Tigers still.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay. Great. Would you
Jake
rather have a
Rogers
World
was
Series
on
or
the
Jake
other day.
Rogers? No, he's a great guest. He's got a great mustache. But would you rather have a World Series or Jake Rogers, Daz Cameron, and Franklin Perez?
Everybody. And I think this might be where the Orioles need to adjust their focus because they've been prospect the whole time. You would rather have a World Series and not have Keston Herstead, not have Kobe Mayo, not have
anybody,
not have Jackson Holiday. You would rather have a World Series. And I think teams lean, if those are the 2 ends of the spectrum, they lean towards the keeping the prospect because he's going to be unbelievable. And not, this is our window. We have 3 to 5 years, which is a longer window than any team except for the Braves. We need to win in this window.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference. There are different flavors of GM, president of baseball ops, whatever you want to call it, right? There are some that are total gunslingers. There are some that are prospect huggers. Some that have to just cover for no spending with ownership, right? You have these different layers. We just saw a big change in San Francisco, right? Zaidi had like a very particular process that I would just say is too cute. Now they're going with someone who's just a former player who you don't really know what to expect, but it's going to be very different, right? But the gunslinger, Dombrowski always gets that. He's the guy, right? As soon as you hear that word, that's who you think.
Buster Posey's, I'm not saying he's a gunslinger for saying this, but Buster Posey is going to do what it takes to win on the field. Dave Dombrowski does what it takes to win on the field.
But also, this is a key part too. When they want to do something big, trade away that big prospect, sign a big player, their voice really carries. Dombrowski's voice carries. Like, this is what we need to do. I've won many times. Buster Posey, probably a tough guy to say no to with Giants ownership.
And Buster Posey can sit there, he had a 12-year career. He can sit there and go, I'll name you 3 prospects each year that came up and then fizzled out or went somewhere else and fizzled out or didn't have the impact that this guy is going to have when we bring him onto our team.
Yeah, you got to just know who to keep and know who to
AJ Preller. That's why the Padres are in the position they're in.
That's right. We're going to talk to Brian McTaggart about what the Astros are going to have to do with some of their youth coming through and some of their vets saying bye-bye. McTaggart hanging out
on the road again
in the coach. What's up, man? So Astros beat writer from MLB.com back on FT with us. It's actually crystal clear. I don't want to jinx it, but the quality in the car looks great. So your car Wi-Fi is fantastic. But Brian, great to see you. I know you're just coming off hearing from Dana Brown and the Astros speak. So let's start there. What did they say about the end of their season and what's next?
Yeah, they just had a press conference at Minute Maid. One of the buzzword for Dana Brown is that pretty much anything's on the table this offseason. They're not against, trading for some guys. They're not against going out and signing free agents. Obviously, they were disappointed with the way the season ended. It's pretty unusual for it to be October 3rd and the Astros aren't involved in postseason baseball somehow, some way. So, they're going to try to do what they can, I think, to improve this club and try to get back to the playoffs next year. But certainly they have a lot of question marks, a lot of things that need to be answered. It's not going to be easy because the window is still open for them, I think, but they're going to have to get better in a lot of areas.
Was this team good? Was this team they lost to the Tigers. They came out of a division that, with all the vaunted pitching of the Mariners, and then it's something else. Was this team actually good, or was this just Tigers came in and they caught him they caught him with a big haymaker?
Yeah, I think they're a good team. I mean, they just got off to a really terrible start. Injuries to the rotation early on just really destroyed their bullpen. Everyone was pitching out of roles. They were just trying to cover innings. And finally, when they got that rotation situation settled and they called up some guys and guys stepped up like Blanco and Arrighetti, Framber Valdez got healthy, bullpen situated itself. Then they played like the Astros for the better part of the season. A lot of that was done without Kyle Tucker, who was injured. But I do think the Tigers came in and put the haymaker on them anyway. But you could almost see this coming, that was going to be a terrible matchup for the Astros. Skubal in game one. They get that, and they did, and now the Astros have to win a couple of games, and AJ Hinch, went out there and pushed all the right buttons and threw pitching chaos at the Astros, and again, they really have struggled to hit in the playoffs the last couple of years at key moments, and for some reason they've lost 7 playoff games in a row at home, which is really hard to do, and it's a good team, but definitely a flawed team. Not as good as years past. Definitely not as good as the 22 team, but a team that deserved to be in the playoffs, but probably was not going to be a World Series team.
Brian, I know we're going to talk about we're talking about this year, and we're going to go back, and I'm going to talk about I'm going to ask you about Diaz and the one knee thing, but before we get to that, you said that they're like everything's on the table. Is bringing back Alex Bregman on the table? Is bringing back a Justin Verlander on the table? Is signing, because if you sign Bregman, you're probably not going to sign Tucker, right? Yeah. So where do the big picture, what kind of budget do the Astros have? I know Jim Crane says, I'll spend whatever I need to win. But what kind of budget do the Astros have, and how far down this road will go? Because there's teams that get down this road, and they're at the end. We can use the Giants, for example, right? Giants signed these guys, and they age quickly, and then they fell off the cliff quickly. And now they're kind of stuck in the mid-purgatory, you want to call it, where they're, are we prospect, and they just changed to Buster Posey. So how far down the road are the Astros willing to go to keep this core team intact?
Yeah, I think they definitely want to sign Bregman. I don't think they will, just because it's going to go against everything they've done here since Jim Crane's been the owner. They do not hand out $200 million, 8-year, 9-year contracts. They just don't do it. And so far, they've won because of that. They let Springer walk. They let Correa walk. They let Garrett Cole walk. And that's just a few of the guys. And, Bregman's going to want a massive deal that would be the biggest deal in Astros history to stay, and Tucker as well, and he's a year behind Bregman. So I just think both those guys are going to want more than the Astros, unless they just change their philosophy, and I don't think they will, just because they haven't had to. I think both those guys will probably end up walking, and they'll try to fill it. I don't know if they'll try to fill it internally like they did with Correa and even with Springer, but they'll try to fill it in some other ways and then spend that money in some other areas. But I think at some point it probably makes sense to take a long look at, should we go 6, 7 years for Alex Bregman at 31 years old? I don't know what that's going to be like down the road, but if you want this window to stay open a little bit longer, Bregman the next 2 or 3 years will help you get there. But you're right, they're not going to sign Bregman and Tucker. I just don't see how that would work. Framber Valdez is going to be a free agent after next year as well, a guy that's going to make 17, 18 million in arbitration next year. So we knew this would come, where all these guys that came up together were going to be free agents at some point, and they're sort of here in the middle of it. And it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate it to try to stay competitive.
You said most likely they won't do that. Is there a feeling in the locker room that Bregman's, because the end of the season, his free agency didn't just creep up on him. Is there a feeling that they saw Bregman's last game as players in the clubhouse, or is there something that Altuve? Is that why Altuve's comments were, "Hey, we got to push for that," but in reality, they're feeling he ain't coming back?
Yeah, I think they feel that, and I mean, Altuve's comments are probably going back to what I said. I mean, he's been here 14 years, and he's seen all these guys come and go and not get signed as free agents and go on to other teams, and they just keep winning. And at some point, Altuve doesn't want to be the last guy standing on a team that's on the decline. So, his comments were really strong that, hey, we need to go out there and we need to resign Bregman. He said, I can't envision this being my last game. With Alex Bregman, and he even said that he would talk to Jim Crane about it if he had to. Altuve is a guy who just signed an extension to remain an Astro for life. I don't think Bregman's certainly in a different spot. He feels he's going to be the best free agent third baseman on the market, so he's going to try to get a deal that's more market value for him, as well he should. But I think there was a definite air of finality in that clubhouse, sort of the way there was with Garrett Cole after 19. And Bregman even putting out that tweet saying, "Thank you, Houston," almost seemed like a tip of the cap goodbye. So who knows? Maybe they come up with something, but certainly I think he's going to test free agency, and I think he's going to have a few teams that are going to be willing to pay him that money that the Astros just don't go in that deep end of the pool.
Okay, is this the end then? Is this the end of the Astros? I mean, you're on Twitter, and you're an Astros guy. People are cheering. They're like, "Oh, finally, AJ Hinch started it. Now he ended it." So is this the end of their run? Is their window closing because of the money? Guys are getting older. Guys are starting to leave for free agency. Their farm system doesn't have a lot, if you ask people from Baseball America that we talked to. So is this kind of the beginning of the end? Was AJ Hinch the one who slayed the dragon?
It might be. It might be the beginning of the end. I mean, this team's going to have to get a lot better. I still think can be a good team next year, but it's going to have to get a lot better. Even if they don't bring back Verlander, I still think they have a lot of starting pitching. And we all know it starts and ends with pitching. They're going to have to make, an upgrade of the bullpen. They're getting to the point to where they have 4 or 5 things they have to improve instead of, hey, we just need to go out and get this and this. So it is getting a little bit harder. I wouldn't completely count them out yet. I mean, I still think they're going to be a chance to be a 90-win team next year, depending on what they do. But are they the 22 Astros or the 19 Astros? No, they're not. They're not close to that. But they're still a team, I think, that is got a chance to be in the postseason. So I don't think Hinch slammed the door completely on the Astros. I think their foot's still sticking out, and it depends. Are they going to push that door open a little more and make some good moves this offseason and make themselves the team to beat again in the American League West? I mean, I think Jim Crane's going to go for it every year. I don't think they're going to take a step back or rebuild. So it's going to be a very interesting offseason to see how they do that with the free agents that are coming up and their payroll and how they fit all that together.
Can you comment on the feeling before the series? Were the Astros nervous about the Tigers, or were they looking to see who they're going to play in the next round, see what's going to happen with other series, or did they take this team seriously from your standpoint, from your point of view?
Yeah, I think they did. I mean, I don't think I never got the feeling that the Tigers are coming in and they're going to go to Cleveland and that's going to be the end of it. I mean, I think they knew in a short series with Skubal going in game one that they had a chance to be down 0-1 and then have to win two games at home, and that's exactly what happened. I think after last year, coming home in the ALCS and just needing one home win and not getting it done, I think was a little bit of a reality check, and that we just can't roll to the World Series every year. We're going to have to play this through, even though we have home field advantage and our best pitchers going. So, like I said earlier, I just thought this was going to be a very bad matchup when you got a pitcher who's going to win the Triple Crown, who's you're going to have to work really hard to beat, and you end up don't beating him, and now your back's against the wall. And this is a team that's had its back against the wall a couple of times last year and came through. Then when it counted, they couldn't win those two home games. But I don't think they took Detroit lightly at all. I think they really thought they were in for a dogfight, and they were. The reason they went home was they scored 3 runs in 2 games. I mean, whatever happened with the pitching and the end of the bullpen yesterday, they scored 3 runs in 2 games. One of those was on a play at the plate where, Jake Rogers couldn't catch the ball, and then on a sac fly where Pena had to force the issue. Other than that, an RBI single in game one, and that was it. They just could not get anybody to put the ball in the gap or hit a key home run.
Just from your experience in covering the game for a while, do you feel like day games at home have a different vibe versus night games in terms of an advantage? I'm trying to slice up like why home field advantage is so insignificant in baseball. And I was having a discussion with someone yesterday about it. And I'm just like, hey, the Astros played early games, not using the excuse, more looking at it like in the past 10 years, when you're at a home game versus a night game, crowds half drunk at night, going nuts. To me, it feels different. I don't know if that means anything, but just curious what your thoughts are with experiencing both of those, because the Astros definitely have played their fair share of day baseball in the playoffs.
Yeah, they've played a lot of day baseball in the DS. I think almost every one of their games has been day games, and then both games here in the wild card series are day games. Yeah, of course. I mean, I think night games, people get off work, they hit up a restaurant or bar and come over, and they're ready to have a good time. You can definitely feel the difference in the crowd and the electricity in the crowd. The ballpark was not full for the beginning of those two games. The end of the upper decks were not full. Now they did fill in as the game went on, and by the 8th or 9th inning, the fans were into it and it was full. But in years past, they play those games at night, and the crowd is into it from first pitch, and they're waving towels and all that. And I know when they do night games, they have like a street fest outside for the fans, and they really didn't do that during the day games. So yeah, there's a big difference. But the Astros also lost 2 games at night last year in the ALCS when they had just needed one win to go to the World Series. So, I'm not sure how that affects them, as far as they're playing. But yeah, there was definitely a difference in the atmosphere, I thought, being a day game.
Brian, well, first of all, not a lot. I mean, the Orioles attendance wasn't great yesterday either. So I don't know how MLB fixes the day game problem, but the Astros complained last year. I worked the Astros last year, and they complained about their home field. Now they couldn't win at home and yada, 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 and they thought they fixed it. But that's a whole different story. I want to ask you about what happened with Diaz and the ball in the dirt where he was on one knee. And then as soon as that ball went by him, he went off of one knee when Presley was in the game. So is this something that the Astros philosophy, and I know it never comes up, and the numbers say there's less wild pitches and less pass balls on a knee, but just when it happens in a big, huge moment, and then even on TV yesterday, they're like, well, Diaz is on one knee. Maybe if he gets off one knee, he blocks that ball. Is this something that has occurred, and has anybody even talked to him about it?
Yeah, I really can't answer that, AJ. I mean, I haven't really heard people talk about that too much. I did think it was interesting that when Hader came in, he was going straight fastballs, pretty much for the most time, and staying away from his breaking pitches. And so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. If he thought he couldn't trust Diaz to throw some of his breaking pitches. But yeah, I mean, Presley's a guy who's going to put the ball in the dirt. He's going to spike it, and especially with a runner at third base, you got to be able to block that. So, Diaz has made some strides, I think, defensively. Offensively, he has a chance to be an elite catcher, but defensively, he's gotten better for sure. But got a little bit of a ways to go, and certainly not a great moment there when he was unable to block that ball.
What did you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing with the one knee. The reason the numbers are up is because they're already down there, and so they're able to get they're able to block more balls, but when he went to backhand it, he didn't come up with it. We've all backhand balls. I remember I backhanded a ball in a big situation, and I caught it. And I remember thinking, "Eesh, what if I hadn't?"
You don't feel good about it.
You know, you're playing with fire in that case.
Okay.
Yeah, it was tough. It was unlucky and at the wrong time for me, right? That was it. Like, I mean, he's probably done that 100 times during the regular season, and 50 of them he's probably picked and knocked down, and it just happened to be the tying run in a LC or a wild card game, and now all the focus is like, oh no, the one knee thing is back. So, listen, yeah, I get it, just a bad situation, and but I just thought it was odd that then after that he went off of two knees or off of one knee, and he went back to the traditional stance. As soon as that happened, even in that inning, he went back to the traditional stance. So, listen, Brian, this isn't definitely the way we thought the Astros season would end. So you enjoy your extra 3 weeks vacation you got, because normally right now you're prepping for the DS and the CS and possibly the World Series. So you enjoy your extra 3 weeks of vacation you got.
Yeah, I got a lot of text messages, people inviting me to things in October and suggesting I rent this beach house and do all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's uncharted territory. So yeah, I'm gonna enjoy it a little bit and watch everybody else travel across the country and follow some baseball for once.
You deserve it. ALCS McTaggart. Finally, here's the break. So, yeah, you won every day with your articles. Check them out on MLB.com. Brian, great to see you. Thank you. Enjoy the offseason. I'm sure we'll chat.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Make sure you give Brian a follow if you're not already. Locked in Astros content, of course. And we'll be right back to go over Mets-Brewers. Can I bring up a little thing? There were a couple things from the broadcasts yesterday. So I'll save one part of it for Mets-Brewers. But did you guys see the ump cam? Particularly when they were doing the hand check. It got a lot of play on social media.
Marquez.
Yeah, he was
tremendous.
Really thorough.
Okay.
Yeah. Did he have some Purell or some type of hand sanitizer on there and just being like, hey, how many hands did you shake today? You want some of this?
It was very, very good camera placement because if you couldn't see it or it was in the way, and it was very.
Do you know what it reminded me of? It's gonna maybe sound weird, but I don't care. It's like a dad with their kid, like, little Jimmy, put your sunscreen on, like just taking care of his son. Hey, let's make sure we get thorough. We don't want any sunburn on there, little Jimmy. I thought it was cool though, AJ. I mean, whatever. It was during a dead time. You get a little look at how weird it is to get your hands checked.
Yeah, how weird it is when a grown man comes up to you and says, "Hey, do you have anything on your hands?" I mean, yeah, that's weird. Okay, let's call it what it is. It's freaking weird, but
it is.
MLB 2024.
It is. Hey, it's something our game does that no other game does, right? Makes baseball unique. We need grown men checking hands, making sure that they are clean. They were very clean. That is a pitcher who is not cheating. Right? We all saw it.
Yes.
America
and by the
watch.
way, can I just say this, because there's a certain person I'm about to blow up in the chat, and they know who they are. We didn't talk about what the Tigers did, person in the chat, because that was an Astros beat writer, you dumb bleep.
Correct. The way the show works is we bring on people who are specialists with particular teams. Obviously, give us a little bit on the Tigers, but he is not Mr. Tigers. He's Mr. Astros. We're putting certain teams to bed at the moment, and of course, previewing other series, which we're about to do. So we're going to preview Game 3 of the Mets and the Brewers, them deciding not to go to Diaz, Jackson Chourio, pretty good at ball. And there was something from the broadcast yesterday that has some fans going berserk. In the weeds, more on the Mets and Brewers. We've got a game 3. We've got one. I'm very excited about it. And I should have announced this earlier, but FT Live post-game show after game 3. So one team will be gone. We'll either talk about the end of the season for the Brewers or the Mets, and we'll preview whatever's next for them, which will actually be the series that AJ is covering for Fox, the series that he's calling with his friends. Okay, so I want to start here, even though there's more strategy to get to, and we're going to talk to Daniel Murphy about that series coming up soon. Yes, the former New York Met who now does some broadcasting for them. Did you see the 9th inning interview yesterday? Fans were losing their minds.
Listen, I know. Yes, I did. Where they interviewed Mitchell?
Garrett Mitchell.
Right. Yeah.
So
who hit the home run. Who hit the huge home run. I get it.
Yes.
Listen, but there are certain times where it's like, oh, can we just do this after the game? Because they almost missed Iglesias flying out too.
Correct.
So it was like, listen, as someone that does broadcast and we have guys on, and I appreciate when guys come on, but there's got to be a feel. And I love Jesse Rogers, but he wasn't. He was told by his producer and by his supervisors to go get that interview. But I just thought it was like, man, are we really doing this right now in the top of the 9th inning after they just took the lead? We can't do this post game if they get 3 more outs. I don't know. I just thought it was weird timing, and I understand it. Yes, we want more access to the players, but there's also got to be a little bit of a feel by somebody.
Correct. So here's my thing. I've worked plenty on games too, so I can say this, and it's something that I would say to anybody that was working the broadcast. Mistake. Just made a mistake there. That's what happens, okay? I am the first person to want an in-game interview during the regular season with a player. I like all that stuff, right? Give me all the access in the regular season. I'm even okay with the mid-game interviews during the postseason, right? It's the 3rd inning. Harper just hit a homer. You want to get his words for a sec. Mostly the answers are not great and it's whatever, but we're doing it. I'm fine with it. Ken talked about it a lot on this show because he's in the dugout for that. My line, though, is the 9th inning. He hit the homer. You're about to have the game done, too. It's 5-3. Bring him on post game. I want more from him. You're only going to get 5 seconds. Now you're potentially missing a play. That to me was a feel thing where I think I'm going to assume that it was a call made by a producer, and it just doesn't make sense. I don't know why you would do that. The game's just about done. Wait 5 seconds, and we'll get a nice post-game interview.
If I get it, it's not a clinching game. I get, so maybe that's what they were thinking. But if AJ is on and he's stepping all over the color guy's call in the 9th inning of a huge playoff game, they would never accept that. AJ's there for analysis and for essentially the Garrett Mitchell interview is stepping all over what's happening, like building the drama for the next night. And like,
yeah, but are you okay with it in the 4th inning for 5 seconds? Like,
I love it.
Okay, cool. Same, but it's the 9th inning. In addition to it being the end of the game and you want to obviously watch and listen, you're about to talk to him if you want. You know,
on the field,
you like kind of wasted it, the moment where you can get like 4 minutes with him.
I agree. I just thought it was bad timing. I don't know who made the call. I guarantee it wasn't Jesse Rogers who had to do the interview, but somebody was in his ear saying, hey, you got to get him. And, listen, Mike Vasallo and the Brewers are unbelievably good about giving you access to their players, okay? But even Mike should have been like, I don't know about this one, guys. But, hey, ESPN pays their rights to get access to players, and they're doing their job. And I understand it, but it's also weird. Like, we do these manager interviews, and we try not to do them on Fox all the time because you get the same 3 questions, right? It's like, how's your pitcher doing? How's their pitcher doing? Oh, so-and-so got a hit for you. How's that? And they give you they're like, all right, hurry up. I got to get back to my little cue card I have here. They're like, oh, blah, blah, right? On how the game's going. So we've tried to go away from that and try to get actual players that aren't involved in the game, like whether it's starting pitchers or a starting guy that's on the bench that day, because then you get like a whole half inning. But when Tom Verducci or Ken Rosenthal runs up to a manager between the 2nd and 3rd inning of a game and they go, hey, how's Tarek Skubal going to Hinch? And he's like, yeah, he's had a great first 2 innings. Okay, and what about how's Framber Valdez? Well, he's given up a couple walks, but he's been okay. Cool. All right, now back to you guys. It's like we got nothing out of that. So it's all about timing.
It's good if there's a controversial call or something, though,
Yeah, but you're going to get a nothing answer. They need to go outside the box. They need to go outside the box. Ken needs to be like,
I think the manager interviews are fine. I mean, I'm getting more out of that. It just has to be very strategic. Like how much left? Maybe
I'd much rather talk to a player. I'd much rather talk to a player that a starting pitcher, or when we had Tobias Myers on a couple weeks ago, who nobody even knew who he was. and he was great. We've had a million of these guys on, and when you get these guys for a half an inning, and we always try to do it when they're hitting, so nothing bad can happen to their team. Like they can't give up like a 3-run. Like you're talking to Tobias Myers and Freddie Peralta gives up a 3-run homer, right? You're like, all right, this is awkward now.
Womp, womp.
So you try to do it when they're So you're trying to do it when they're on offense because you want to try to get their opinion on stuff, and you want to hear them like root for their guy, cheer for their guy, like, oh man, what a homer by whoever.
All right, so we're going to talk to a player right now then who was just in the thick of it, coming back with Tyler Wade of the San Diego Padres. Boom, special guest. We've been working on it. He's ready to go. So he's in the green room. Give us 2 minutes, and he will pop on to talk about the Padres. Moving on. Pretty big series next up, I think. It should be good.
He was busy last night.
Yeah. All right, here we go. So we'll add one to the mix here. Tyler Wade is about to join us.
I mean, when I was talking to him, he was like, "Yeah, I'll come on when we win tonight. I'll come on." Well, tonight happened. I don't think I don't know if you had a cell phone when you guys won the World Series, AJ, but there's a lot of text messages. And you're not necessarily responding to a dude about coming on the show. Like that's not your first one to respond to as you're having a couple seltzers and
Exactly.
yogurts.
Yep. I mean, even after our show, sometimes, I have texts and one will get buried where it's like, hey, it's so-and-so from whatever radio. Can you come on at 6 p.m.? And, we get off the show at 3 and, then I get a double text. Yesterday. I got one yesterday too, and I got a double text. It might be the same station, but don't say it. I bet you it is because I think we're on that list. But anyway, they were like, "Hey,
it's a local station."
Oh, then it's not. Hey, just circling back. It had been like 30 minutes, and it helped. I did catch it that time because I didn't get through the text, and I was just like, "Yeah, no." Well, I was going on a plane, so we rescheduled. But anyway, we're going to talk to Tyler Wade. So if anyone has questions about the San Diego Padres and maybe what's next? Well, Padres-Dodgers rivalry. I'm excited about it. We'll get back to some Mets topics. Of course, we're going to talk to Daniel Murphy, so I don't think we really have time for the Edwin Diaz conversation at the moment. But can we at least shout out Jackson Cheerio is really good at ball, and you should probably do the circle, AJ, in the pregame meeting today.
Is he the guy?
I don't know. I mean, anytime a guy hits 2 homers the day before, you're kind of like, all right, he used it all up. So,
Water's going to level out. He's not going to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, he's unbelievable, but I don't know. I mean, I think for me, you have to look at who Quintana has owned the Brewers for a long time. So for long, for pretty much. So
that means he's going to give up 5 runs.
Well, check out our locks, and maybe you'll find out. But that's my thing is I don't know. I mean, listen, he had an unbelievable game last night, and he's been the offense for the Brewers in this series. And I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, we're back, FT fam. Waiting on Tyler Wade, getting him ready in a moment here to talk about the Padres moving on and taking on the Braves. So we can continue the Mets-Brewers talk for a moment because we didn't get to everything. So Edwin Diaz not being used when the Brewers had their best pocket in the 8th inning. They said he wasn't going to be available to go nuts, right? It sounded like an inning versus, say, up to 2, which you could see from him sometimes. Was this the right move in your mind, AJ? I mean, I think there's 2 layers. The right move to not use Diaz, but also to keep Maton in the game when he had seen them so much and definitely looked shaky.
Man, if they don't hit the home runs, do we question this at all? I think Diaz was more of he just threw like 50 pitches. How many ever? I mean, I don't know how many he threw 2 days before, but I think it was more that. He threw like 26 and then 40 or something, like back-to-back days, and he only had 1 day off. So I think then he would have to go out and get 4 outs. I think that was more of it for why Diaz didn't pitch. The Maton question, That's a Mendoza question. He knows what Maton has, but I mean, who was the lefty? He didn't have a lefty up ready to go, did he, at any point? So who is he going to bring in? I didn't have a problem with him leaving Maton in, and I definitely had no problem with him not going to Diaz because I think Diaz probably needed another day. Now today, he could probably give him 2 innings if they need him to.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing with house money. I'm not saying they weren't trying to win the game, and I'm not saying Edwin Diaz wasn't coming in. He wasn't giving them 2 innings.
But do you bring in Diaz for the 8th and worry about the 9th, or that's weird too? I mean,
not
with him.
No, that's not what you do with Diaz.
You let him pitch. You let him save. You let him get the save.
Okay.
For me, you let him. You bring him in.
The best hitters were up in the 8th. Doesn't matter. I'm asking. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just asking because some people, the sabermetric crowd.
Brian Kenny called. He wants you to bring your closer in the first, and then hope the 9th inning you get through it with a 1-run lead.
We'll see what happens.
Not sure. I know who you're talking about. Is that your neighbor?
Yeah, but if you get listen, Maton's a ground ball guy. If he gets a ground ball and they get out of it, we're not having this conversation, right? I mean, Mitchell hit a home run. Good for him. Sometimes we always say this. You got to tip your cap to the other guys. They're pretty good too. They're big league players.
That home run by Jackson Chourio was there's moments when you're like, wow, this guy definitely can play. He's definitely a player. When you go oppo off the second deck, and I know it's a short second deck. I'm not saying it's ginormous. He went oppo twice. Like that one snuck in there. It's a good homer. This one where he hits it off of the Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. That sets him apart to me.
Yeah.
That sets him apart. That kind of power at 20 years old, that is impressive to me.
He is the youngest player in Major League Baseball.
By far. Did you see who the second youngest was?
No.
Ronald Acuna, 22.
Luis Angel. Not Ronald.
No. Oh, I thought you meant to hit 2 homers.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Youngest player. He's the youngest player in the league right now.
In general.
I got it. We got someone at the door, and hopefully he's feeling okay. He probably had a night last night. I hope he had a night, as they deserve it. Tyler Wade from the San Diego Padres joining us right now as the Padres sweep the Braves. They're moving on to the NLDS to take on the Dodgers. Tyler, how was last night?
What's going on? It was sick. That was a good one last night. That was fun. That doesn't get old, that's for sure.
No.
Did it last into this morning? Like, I know you said you just got up, but like, did it last into the morning? Like, because you guys won in San Diego. Like, you want to win at home. You guys won in San Diego. Did San Diego treat you guys like they treat you at the stadium?
Yeah. San Diego treated us well. We had a little party afterwards down in the Diamond Club while everyone got to hang out with the families. It was a good time.
How was the series?
Not till the morning, though. Not till the mornings, though.
Okay.
Yes. How was the series in your mind?
The series was great.
What did you expect going into
this?
This
was great, man. A dogfight, really. You never know what can happen in a wild card series. Anything can go, really. So, having King go out, do his thing, strike out 12 guys, really set the tone for us. And then Joe going out doing his thing. We have faith in our guys, man. So it's they got good guys too. Freed's a dog, and their lineup's really good too. So we knew we had to come out there doing our thing early.
Did you guys have confidence in yourselves as a team, or did you guys have confidence in the fact that the Braves played a doubleheader, flew all the way across the country, and then had to play you guys, and they had to call somebody up from AAA for Game 1? I know you had to face Max Fried, and Max Fried's going to be, the second best pitcher on the market next year. But did you guys have confidence in yourself or confidence that they were pretty gassed?
Man, ourselves. I think we've been doing that all year and showing people that all year. It doesn't matter who we play or what the situation is if we go out there and play our brand of baseball, man, we're a tough team to beat. So yeah, man, I mean, the travel definitely isn't it. But I think we all know in this room, in this call, that it doesn't matter what time you get in or what it is, whenever those bright lights come on, it's playoff baseball. You got to show up.
Hey, what did you think? We're showing the Machado hit. Obviously, that's classic for him.
And the Higgy hit.
Oh,
do
you want to start with Merrill or Higgy? Why don't you go to Higgy? Because that's actually more of the surprise these days. I did not realize that the San Diego Padres won the trade with the New York Yankees by acquiring Kyle Higashioka. King's pretty good too, double-digit Ks in Game 1. I get it, but Higgy was really the gem of the deal, wasn't he?
Man, Higgy's incredible. I've known Higgy for 11 years. I played with him in the minor leagues coming up. I think we've all seen the power that he has. Even just in his BP, he hits them just as far as anyone else. But the fact that he's putting it all together for us right now, it's been special.
Go ahead.
Sure.
What
Tyler,
did you see?
No,
Yeah.
Tyler, I got to ask you this: since every time I see you play, does this mean you're starting Game 1 against the Dodgers? Because every time that you come on the show, every time I go into San Diego, you're like, "Man, you show up, I play." So does this mean we can expect a Wade sighting Game 1 against the Dodgers in LA?
Hey, if it's a close game, I'll be in there. That's for sure.
Heck yeah.
Okay,
That's right.
here we go. I like it. I'm your lucky charm. Don't ever forget that.
Yeah.
Yes, just
Yeah,
you just say yes.
I'm
When you
gonna,
see
I'm
me,
gonna
you just
need
say
you
yes,
around a
Joe.
lot in 2025.
That's good. Hey, what do you think about this series coming up, and based on the battles that you guys have had, just even this year? Obviously, there's some history now for the last several years with the Padres and Dodgers that just is really good for the game, especially for fans like that are nationally watching the game. But what have you seen this year in your battles?
Man, this is what everyone wanted, right? I think it started in Korea. I've been watching it as a baseball fan, playing in different leagues. I'm like, oh man, those matchups are really good. They have a really good team. We're looking forward to the challenge. I know they are too, and it's gonna be fun. Can't wait.
Last time you were on was on the field in Korea. You gave us the hit right after the game. Now, right after your celebration, and you're going to play the Dodgers. What has changed from your team, and also what have you seen change from the team you're about to play between those? That was like 164 games for you guys.
Yeah, that's a good question. Feels like it was 8 years ago, to be honest with you. Man, much has changed. I mean, I think just the tightness of this group, man. I do believe Korea was a big bonding experience, but just, over the course of 8 months in a season, man, you get super tight. Um, so I think I always say this, the actual love and we just love for each other, man, and we genuinely care for each other, and that's something special.
Was there talk from like about the years before, about last year, about how that love and bond, there's conversations about how the team really didn't get together. We had the conversation on here. Well, they just weren't winning last year, so that's a reason for the team not to get together. Was there talk like, hey, we can't be doing this because we did this last year, or we can't talk this way or act this way towards each other?
No, no, no. I just think it was just kind of we set a goal out in spring training. We want to be close. We want to do these things. We want to get to the end goal, and this is the way to do it, man. And I think AJ Kratz, you guys have been on really good teams where when they're close, you're doing team dinners, you're hanging out after games, you're having a beer or two together. I think that stuff's important. So I think we've just intentionally tried to have done that, and then it just happened organically out through the year where you don't even think about it. You're just enjoying each other's company, and then that just shows up on the field as well.
What is it, Tyler? Tell me, what is it about you guys and the Dodgers? Y'all ain't afraid of the Dodgers. I mean, you can watch the way you guys played against them. Now, a lot of teams take the field against the Dodgers and say, oh, no, we're the big, bad Dodgers. Padres, they ain't scared. I was there in 22 2 years ago when they finally took them down, and it was like they won their World Series, right? But now here you are again 2 years later, Padres, Dodgers, going to bust each other's faces up for a 5-game series possibly. What is it about the Padres this year that says, hey, we're not scared of the Dodgers again?
I don't even think it's the Dodgers, man. I just think it's any team. We just have a belief that, like I said, if we play our brand of baseball, it doesn't matter who's across the field, man. It's 27 ounces, it's the same game. We go out there, do our thing. At the end of the day, we'll come out on top.
Waiter, when you hit your first homer of the year and it's in the playoffs, I want you to come around second base, and I want you to give me this one. That's all I need. Okay?
I got you, baby. I got you.
Okay.
I
That's
like it. All right, I'll follow up on the changes question. So then fast forward from when we spoke last to a little past the halfway point of the season. The team's 50-50. So it's fine. You guys are in contention at that point, okay, for a wild card. But was the team looking around like, feel like we're a lot better than this. You know, is there one of those realizations where it's like, hey, I'm seeing more talent, you know, because you've been around the league. You've been around talented teams, probably been around some teams that aren't great. Were you looking around like, this doesn't seem like a 50-50 team?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we all realized it. We just didn't really vocalize it. And then after the All-Star break, we all got together and like, hey man, like if we want to get to where we need to go, let's start playing playoff baseball from here on out. And so when October comes, man, we don't have to change a thing how we play. So it was just a challenge to ourselves, just to keep that mental focus every single day, and just try to win the day. And if you can continue to do that every single day and come in that second half and just focus on how to win that day, you kind of get some momentum going. That's what we did.
Put us in your shoes when you see everybody and the trainer going out to the mound to check on Musgrove. Obviously, you're not a doctor, but put yourself in. You're looking out there and you're like feeling.
Yeah, dude. It's tough. I mean, I don't even know really exactly what's going on. But I think we all know no one's really healthy at the end of this year. Like everyone's grinding with something, everyone's dealing with something. So Joe going out there and giving everything he's got, whether I think it was four innings, and keeping us there, man. He was nasty last night. He's been a huge piece for us ever since he's gotten back. And hopefully we get him back soon. But man, it's just it's a tough blow. You just never want to see your guy get removed from a game. But Joe's a dog, man. He's going to do everything he can to get back, but we have faith in him for sure.
So then the bullpen takes over, and my question on them is this the best bullpen that you've ever seen, both with the team or against the team?
Bro, it's not even close. It's I mean, every guy that comes out of there is nasty. They're all doing something different, and I'm glad I'm on this side, that's for sure.
Yeah, because there's some other really strong bullpens this year, right? Like the Brewers have a really good bullpen. You've probably seen them. The Cleveland Guardians have had a ton of success with their bullpen. And so, you know.
Say that again. You broke up. I didn't hear you.
I think we lost him, Tyler. It's just me and you. So now I can ask the questions that people really want to know. I have a great idea for you. This is what you need to do for 2025, okay? Since 2024, you're in the playoffs. You guys got a shot at the World Series. You need to follow Jerks and Profar around and do whatever the heck he did between 23 and 24. And then you for 24 to 25 can be Jerks and Profar. Start the All-Star game, have a 900 OPS, be unbelievable.
Brother.
And then then you're going to get paid. So that's your offseason plan. You're going to say, Jerkson, you're a good dude. You smile all the time. Everyone throws at you. I don't know why, but I'm going to follow you around like a puppy dog, and I'm going to do whatever you do.
I'm doing it. I'm going to Curacao. I'm hanging out there. I'm training there. I'm going to be a shadow all off season.
Hey, there's worse places to go than Curacao. Okay, let's
you're damn right.
I mean, Curacao is pretty cool. Like, maybe sneak over to Aruba. Hang out with, take Bogarts to say, hey, Bogey, listen, I'm gonna live at your house because I know Bogart's got a mansion down there.
Has to, right?
I mean, yeah, but listen, hey, that's my plan. If I'm you for the offseason, I'm like, Jerkson, listen, I'm just following you around. All right, now I got to ask you this. If you guys do happen to keep advancing, and I know you're going to say we got to win the Dodgers and we got to win the LCS and we got to get here, but if you get to play the Yankees in the World Series, okay, you got King, you got Higgy, you got a bunch of ex-Yankees. Soto's on the other team.
Shingo.
Is there going to be some hugging and kissing like we see some of these teams, or is it going to be like we want to kill y'all?
Man. We want to kill y'all, man.
Thank you. I mean, all right. No, you'll be friends after. You'll be friends after the game.
Yeah. I think everyone would say that. When it's in between the lines, man, like, nah, like we ain't friends. But I mean, I got brothers on that team. I got best friends on that team. It's family on both sides, right? But when it's in between the lines, it's I'm with my guys.
So would you after the game, like on the field, like we saw some of the Mets and Braves, they both won. They were taking pictures. Would you do that? Because I would say you could be a guy that would do that. Would you trade jerseys with your boy Judgy?
If we won, yeah. If I lost, no.
You'd call him back out, and you'd be like, you hit him up
Like,
real quick. Be like, hey, real quick. Let me get your jersey, Nines.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that would happen though. I don't think
think so
whoever
either.
lost that series. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, they wouldn't text back if whoever loses.
Yeah.
No.
Not
They'd
right
probably be
away.
Not for that.
like, ghost. You get ghost
They-
mode. All right, Tyler. Last night when the Padres beat the Dodgers 2 years ago, there's the famous thing of Will Myers in the bars and the gas lamp. So you're saying not one guy on your team hit the gas lamp last night, or gaslight, whatever, gaslight, and didn't buy the whole town of San Diego drinks like Will Myers did 2 years ago? I mean, he got behind the bar.
First
He's like,
of all,
everybody, drinks are on me.
I don't know nothing about that story. I need to know more about that.
Oh, you don't know that story? So when they beat the Dodgers
No.
2 years ago, Will Myers went into the gas lamp and went to some bar and was behind the bar and is like everyone was there and he's like, I'm
Oh,
buying drinks
man.
for everybody. And he bought the whole bar drinks.
Damn, that's incredible.
See?
All right. If we win this series, that's the waterfront too. I think everyone talks about going to waterfront. So shout out waterfront.
Okay.
Shout out Waterfront.
Okay, there you go.
Waterfront's good.
Well,
Good.
How do I
all
not
right.
know that? How do I not know that story?
Yeah, you need to know it. You need to know it.
Send him the article. Kratz will send the connections get a little wonky, but we're good. Kratz will send you the article so that you can one up Will Myers because you guys probably have the same career earnings, so you can one up him. show him what's good. Be like, I got you, Will.
Man. Well, hold on. I do AJ's plan. We might be able to. So we'll see.
That's right. Uh-huh.
So you're gonna
That's right.
You're gonna put something down. You're gonna put some money down, and you'll get the money back later.
Layaway.
I get a credit. I get a credit line.
Credit.
Drinks on layaway. You can put them on layaway.
That's right.
Put their drinks on layaway.
Yeah. Pay later. Well, Tyler, this was awesome. Great to have you on right after this. Congrats on the first round, hopefully of many for your squad. And we'll talk to you down the line, all right? Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tyler Wade
Enjoy,
from the
guys.
Padres. They're moving on to take on the Dodgers. Hey, quick shout out, FT fam, to our friends at Tiza. Let's see if I can be nicely squared up here.
We got the whole.
AJ's doing it better than me.
We got the whole box.
We do. We have a whole box of Tiza with us. There's your FT podcast puck. It comes with wintergreen and tropical mix. No nicotine, no tobacco. Energy, focus, oral stimulation. And the key, which is why I've been working with them from the beginning of time with FT, is that the old school dip sucks, and we don't want people doing that because it's bad for you. So let's do it the healthier way with Tiza. And if you want to give it a shot, especially to get these pucks, we shout them out every once in a while. Discount code is FOUL, F-O-U-L, for 20% off your first order at TizaEnergy.com. I know Kratz is hitting them up because when I bring this one up to show it, feeling a little light. Might need a refill soon.
Bartender needs a refill.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. So anyway, if you want to support FT and Tiza, go check that out. Again, TizaEnergy.com. Use the code FOUL, F-O-U-L, for 20% off your order. We'll take 1 minute to take a deep breath, and I'll get some water, and then we will get into That's What He Said. We got some good ones today. Shohei Otani, pitching stuff. The Angels smashed Rendon. Ben Cherington says, "Don't stop believing."
Just stop. Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
The will he or won't he pitch in October saga continues for Shohei Otani. We continue to get no's. I continue to not believe those no's as AJ Pierzynski shakes his head at the latest man who has say in the Dodgers organization.
Another terrible take by Scott. It's like at least once a week we get these takes that are just terrible.
But the problem is the last time you said I had a terrible take, it proved to be 100% accurate.
Which was what?
Verlander wasn't on the
You
roster.
crushed me for Verlander. You crushed me.
Okay, I'm going to crush you again. I'm going to keep crushing you.
Okay, so let's do this.
I'm not a player. I just crush a lot.
Okay, so let's do this. Ready? If Shohei
Not
Otani gets to the World Series, I believe that he could appear for an inning or two.
Because if they get to the World Series, that means they're going to have a bunch of dudes that are hot coming out of the bullpen, and they're not going to want to mess up the mojo.
Or they could be running out of gas beyond gas and say, Shohei.
Analytics guys don't understand that. Analytics guys don't understand that, Scott. They don't understand
It doesn't matter.
People get tired. People get tired.
Okay, so Brandon Gomes, the GM of the Dodgers, he's been on the show before, nice dude, said, I think it's no different than before. We don't anticipate him pitching in the postseason. He didn't say, no way, no chance, zero chance, all of that. And even if he did say that, I still wouldn't necessarily believe him because here's the deal. I don't think it's all up to them. If Shohei Otani in the World Series goes to Dave Roberts and says, I am pitching an inning or two for my legacy to win a World Series right now.
My legacy? My legacy? My legacy. My legacy. How about the team's legacy, Scott? How about the team's Dodgers legacy? My legacy? Dave Roberts is going to go, hey, bro, worry about the team, not my legacy. And second of all, Shohei would never say that because Shohei wants to win. So my legacy, my foot.
Okay, I'm going to rephrase it, okay? I'm huddled up. I'm going back to Doc. Doc.
My legacy.
Doc, I can give you in this 7-game series, best of 7, right? It could end up being done quicker if I hit a homer per game. I can give you an inning or two of shutout baseball, or 3, depending on how long this series goes late in the game, where you feel like you're running out of gas because you've only got 2 starters and they're only giving you 4 or 5 innings each. Well, that's not fair. Flaherty obviously can go deeper, but Yamamoto's recently back. I'm just saying don't rule it out. If they're not – okay, if you're the manager, you're going to say no? You think Doc Roberts is going to say no to Shohei Otani? You were worried about Joe Espada saying no to Justin Verlander. Try saying no to Shohei Otani when he says, dude, I'm totally good. I can pitch right now.
Okay, here's the difference. Justin Verlander pitched terrible his last few starts. That was a Justin Verlander, hey, guys, he even admitted it. He's like, I don't think I can deserve to be on this roster. It was they lost in the wild card. Now, if they would have gotten to longer series, could we have seen Justin Verlander, Scott? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. We'll never know, will we? We'll never know, will we? But there's one thing I know. The manager, the GM, the president of baseball ops, and Shohei Otani's surgeon have all said he shouldn't pitch in the postseason. Guess who's going to win out over Shohei? 4-1. 4-1. 4-1. 4 against 1.
This isn't Ippei Shohei anymore. Otani runs the ship, not Ippei anymore. Yes, this is Otani's call in the World Series.
No chance.
In the World Series, not pitching before that, but I think that if there's that crazy moment, that WBC moment, right?
They would have to prep this for so long in advance for him to be able to throw that one inning. There's no way. There's no way. This isn't the WBC where he's completely healthy. This isn't when he was with the Angels and he was pitching once a week. Like this, all of a sudden, he hasn't pitched in over a year, and they're like, hey, go get the last outs of the World Series? Like, no chance. You're risking too much because you have this guy for 9 more years.
If only we had someone neutral to settle this debate, since AJ and me just enjoy bickering.
Switzerland. I'm Switzerland. I'm neutral. I'm neutral on this one. I can see both sides of it. I would love, I'm going to go off on left field in this one. I would love in the 6th game, game 6 of the World Series, they send him down there to throw his pens in between at bats.
Just to scare people?
Just to get a rise out of Dodger Stadium. I'm on AJ's camp. I don't see it happening. But I'm on your side. I hear what you're saying because we talk all the time. Would you give up these 3 prospects for a World Series? Would you give up Shohei Otani's pitching for next year, he hurts himself again. That would be terrible.
But who's to say that happens?
But we're talking about the worst case scenario.
2 to 3 innings going to ruin his life?
We don't know that.
2 or 3 innings. You don't know that.
But
you don't know that on
he
either
is throwing. It's not like he's out of the blue here. Like, he is progressing where he's throwing right now. And
is it worth losing him? You have to ask yourself, is what he's going to give you. You can't just say, oh, he pitches, win the World Series. He's still a human. He gave up runs as a pitcher. Is it worth his 2 or 3 innings to not have him pitch next year?
If you told me he definitely can't pitch next year if he's pitching in the World Series, I would say, yes, he's not pitching in the World Series. But you can't guarantee me that. I mean, I would say he's going to be fine. I like to live dangerously. Thank you very much. I'll take Otani pitching in the World Series.
You have to be honest. You have to be honest about it. And all those people
we're not role playing. We're not role playing here, Scott. We're not role playing you as fairy godfather. That's like pixie dust. He can pitch 3 innings. No.
Everybody's paid to make the decisions that they make. The players are paid to go out and do what they're supposed to do. They have a lot of information, and I believe he would pitch if they felt 100% he would be healthy.
He is rehabbing.
You never answered my question.
What's your question? I'm not Switzerland, so I'll answer it even if it's dumb wrong.
If he pitches, he will be hurt the next season, but you would win the World Series. Is that worth it?
I would win the World Series?
Yes.
Oh, if I'm taking a win? Oh, hell yeah.
No Shohei for next year.
As a pitcher?
Yes.
I mean, or a player. Let's say he breaks his elbow.
Still, I was gonna double down. I was gonna double down. Why do fans root for their ball clubs? Why does fandom exist for rooting for a team?
To win the World Series.
To win the World Series. Who cares what happens next year? Who cares?
Okay. Ask the Orioles about next year. They don't want to give up guys.
I'm not soft like that. I'm not worried about tomorrow.
But that's why I brought the argument up.
I don't know what today will bring me.
That's why I brought the argument because we just talked about
it. It's a great argument. But you just gave me a World Series in exchange for him not.
I didn't give you nothing. I gave you the truth that he ain't pitching.
Right, but Kratz's answer is easy for me. Cool.
I'll take a World Series likes title. To be light. Kratz wants to play both sides. He's Switzerland, right? Like, I'm telling you, he ain't pitching.
Okay, well, good debate. Dodgers territory. We'll go over this as well, of course. Yes, Matt Kemp's been on the show, among many other big guests. Clint Pasillas, Alana Rizzo, taking over after our show. If you're watching FT on our YouTube channel right now, it'll flip you over to the Dodgers territory YouTube channel, which you should definitely check out. This is a very hot topic that continues to be a topic for the past month that they're covering. So we'll see. All right, let's get to a couple teams that suck. We'll start with the Pirates and Ben Cherington, who has been speaking, and Jason Mackey, who's been on our show a bunch of times, is just absolutely destroying this, like in terms of his coverage. He's been all over what's going on there. And he was knocking a long quote from Cherington, the quote, clear evidence, of them making progress. He's like, same number of wins. You aren't winning more games, and that's the only number that matters. Fine with most of the rest. They need to improve in a lot of areas. Same time, if I'm a fan, this doesn't exactly fill me with confidence. AJ, it's a tough spot, right? You're the GM. You've already played out your 5-year plan. We're past that. You haven't shown signs of contending even in September. You're not going to spend much in the offseason. You got great starters, but okay, what's next?
Spend money. Show me, Ben, you'll spend money. You know when Ben won? When he was at the Red Sox and they spent money on Victorino and Gomes and Napoli and all these guys they brought in, Ryan Dempster and all these guys they spent money on. Guess what the Pirates won't do and what Bob Nutting won't do? He'll cut guys, hold guys out of lineups to not give them $200,000 incentives. You think he's going to go out and spend the pieces that he needs to spend to make this organization legit and win? He hasn't proven it, so why should we believe this? Yeah, Ben's doing a great job. Yeah, they got Skeens. They had the 1-1 pick. Once in a lifetime guy came along. They picked him. Good job, Ben. Jared Jones, nice fit. Couldn't stay healthy this year, right? Keller's been okay, right? The bullpen needs a retooling from what they have because it doesn't look like, the Bednar is going to be the guy for their closer. They had to go to Chapman to be their closer. They need some offense. They went out and made some tiny moves at the deadline, IKF and De La Cruz, but they still need some slug in there. Hayes hasn't turned out the way they thought he would turn out. Right? Brian Reynolds has been nice, not great. They need a catcher. Henry Davis was 1-1 a couple years ago. He wasn't even in the big leagues hardly this year. So what are they going to do? They're going to have to make some moves. They're going to have to spend some money. That's not the Pirates way. You want clear evidence, Ben? Go out and show us by spending money and making this team actually better on the field, not just talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or just actually get more wins than they had. Like, just because you were better later in the season.
Were they, though? They ended up with the same number of wins they had the year before, I thought.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They had a better record later in the season, and then they fell off. And, like, it's the exact same thing. I don't care if you win at the beginning, if you win in the middle, or if you win at the end. If you have the same amount of wins, you're not improving. Clear evidence just means that Ryan Reynolds is getting better because he's played more games in the big leagues. From there, they found lightning in a bottle with Joey Bart. I think Joey Bart's going to be their backup catcher because Andy's going to be coming back. And
Andy Rodriguez,
and I think he's a legit player. But if you're hoping that Jared Jones and Paul Skeens throw 32 starts next year, and that's where you're going to lean on, and then your 2025 Marco Gonzalez, whoever they pick up in that ilk, is going to give you your starts. Mitch Keller, he has to continue to improve, but all those guys have to continue to improve because when there's injuries, when those guys go down, they need depth. I think the Pirates have some nice pieces, but those pieces can't stay healthy all year long, and they're going to have up and down times. You have to add support to it.
They won't. They can't do it. He's not allowed, right? So if you make a comparison to the Pirates and the Orioles, I'm just going off the top of my head, but my guess is that they were on somewhat similar trajectories. Maybe Cherington started their rebuild maybe a year or two later, but pretty close, right? With the tank and the rebuild and the whole deal, but close, okay? Obviously, those teams are still in pretty different places. I mean, we're smashing the Orioles for not doing that like last step to get them into World Series contention. The Pirates just want to freaking have a playoff game at some point. And
the
for
Pirates
me,
need offense. They got to find offense somewhere. Where are they going to find the offense? I mean, listen, we had Henry Davis on here. He's a great kid, but he hasn't worked out. Catching or offensively, he didn't have a great year in AAA, right? He was 1-1. He was their 1-1 pick, okay? Now, I don't know if Cherington drafted him or not. But you look at some of their other players, who has taken the next step out of their core position players that they're supposedly having? Who has taken O'Neal Cruz? He didn't take the next step, right? They had to move him to center field because he couldn't play. They were like, we got our shortstop for the next 10 years. He's in center field now. Brian Hayes, he hasn't done what they thought. And listen, I'm not knocking these guys. I'm just saying they haven't taken the next step. They're good. They're big league players. Great. But they haven't taken the next step that they thought they would, which would make them stars. How do they get them to the next step?
Yeah, sign Anthony Santander. You never will. That's the thing. The Orioles are going to make them look bad too now because, they brought in Burns. I think they're going to do a couple things this offseason. So, yeah, it's a tough spot. There's not really much you can say. So what he said was absolute word garbage. You can just take it, throw it in the trash. There was nothing of substance there. There wasn't. I'm sorry. There's clear evidence we're making progress, blah, blah, blah. So what do you want, another 5 years? It's not on him, I'm saying. It's just there's organizational failure that's really difficult to overcome. So it is what it is.
He wants another 5 years.
Who are their prospects?
The end of his comment was,
give it time.
Yeah, give it time. We need to still continue to develop from the draft, from international signings, and
heard that 5 years enough.
Pirates fans,
enough.
We're on your side.
Yeah, we're with you here.
You should be pissed.
All right, Daniel Murphy, postseason legend. Going to talk about the playoffs, the Mets-Brewers Game 3 coming up. Excited to have him on in 2 minutes. We can hit this quick, but I did think it was a little ballsy in a good way from Perry Managian. I mean, someone was posting, who is this? Beyond the Halo. Great job on Twitter. I like to follow what they're putting out there, and they're pretty real about what's happening. Rendon obviously is kind of a punching bag for the Angels, but kind of a microcosm of what's gone on for this team, right? And guys that can't stay on the field, just organizational dysfunction, of course, as well there. That starts at the tippy top, but they were showing the differences in quotes. He's my pick for comeback of the player of the year, right? This is all from Perry, I think, in 2022, December. Then 1 year later, December 23, I expect him to be our third baseman. I expect him to play every day, right? So then you can't replace him. So that's one spot that you're hurting in on a year-to-year basis. September 2024, when Anthony has played, he hasn't been productive. He's going to have to come in and earn it. There are no handouts. And Anthony's played in 52 games per year the last 4 years. We need better, right? They're done. Like he's frustrated. It's hurting his ability. It's hindering his ability to do his job, AJ, Perry Nation, right? Because he's there. Artie's not going to cut him. So it's taking up a roster spot, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's a big piece. He's a huge – we talk about team spending. The Angels spent it on him, and he's a huge chunk of their salary. I mean, him and Trout are crushing it, right? I mean, those two guys take up a lot of their money. So, yeah, he needs to be on the field. He needs to be out there. And, I mean, you got to get out there. That's it. The bottom line is you got to get out there, and you got to want to look like you want to be out there too.
That's the problem. So here's the big difference. Mike Trout looked damn good in April, and he's got injury issues. He works his ass off. Anthony Rendon has a 66 OPS plus in his 57 games this year, an 89 the year before. Like, he's done. He doesn't want to play, and his skills have declined. I'm sorry. That's the facts, but he has a contract to play out. And unless you buy it out, he's going to show up to the ballpark and be part of the organization. That's it. There's no like Strasburg, debilitating injury kind of thing, right? He's still there. There's not much you can do unless your owner says enough. And I think it would be a really strong message to the rest of the org if they actually did that, but they're not going to do that. To your players, like, we're done with this era. This isn't working, right? This is just not good vibe for us. This is not good PR for us. Nobody's getting anything out of this anymore. This is not going to be someone who contributes to a World Series team. That's a fact.
Okay, but I don't know about the message to the org. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I don't know because nobody's in Rendon's shoes.
That's fine. Hey, the great Daniel Murphy joining us right now on FT, former big leaguer and, of course, now current broadcaster. Does it sound weird to hear that? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Scott. Thanks for having me. What's up, Kratzy? Hey, AJ.
Hey, Murph. Long time no see. I haven't seen you since London, so,
Yeah, you snuck up on me, or I snuck up on you over there. I'm not sure which was which.
I think it was you because I was expecting to see, Ryan Howard, David Wright, and then I look up and I was like, whoa, that's Daniel Murphy. What the heck's he doing? Then he started hitting, and I was like, oh, I remember that swing from anywhere.
It was fun. Ton of fun. And then, Chase is in the house. He's living in London, so, that was cool. But, no, we're doing good this way, and thank you guys for having me. Y'all, seriously, you guys do some nice ball talk on here. I've enjoyed it, and so I'm glad to be a part of it.
I appreciate that. I was going to say he's doing a good job too.
Yeah, he's got a sultry voice, but yeah. Are you one of the faces? Are you one of the Mount Rushmores of recent generation Mets lore?
I wouldn't say Mount Rushmore by any stretch, but I've over this kind of being away from the game, and even in London with more Mets fans kind of packed in a close area, I may have underestimated how much the Mets fans really enjoyed that 2015 run from our ball club, and then maybe from me personally a little bit more. And so they'll just I had a story or two about I was watching the game with my family, and we remember this play, and it's that's pretty cool. So I probably underestimated that, but I don't think I didn't catch the baseball enough to be Mount Rushmore type status. I don't work like that.
Yeah, no, okay. I get that. I appreciated your run in 2015 too, because you let my Royals win the World Series. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Sometimes the rabbit gets away. You know what I mean, Kratzy?
I got a question. Hold on. First of all, Murph, I'll always thank you because you beat the Cubs that year. So single-handedly beat the Cubs on your own. So thank you for that. Then second of all, like when Kratz says this, I always ask Kratz this, and I've asked him this before. Kratz wasn't on the World Series team. He got a ring. So it's kind of Kratzy.
Where's that at? Where's that at, Murph?
No, I mean, because you help them win games during the regular season, without a doubt. So you don't get there without that. But
Agreed.
I mean, maybe I'll answer it with a little bit of my own story. Like I was on the WBC team. I don't know if you remember. I got 4 plate appearances. I think 2 strikeouts and a double play, but I was there. I promise. So like, how much do I celebrate on Adam Jones's catch and when we're cutting the nets down at the end? Maybe one of those.
I mean,
so I took my trophy and celebrated.
I think you should, because I think we're all part of the cog of baseball, and our careers are like this long. Even your career was much longer than mine. It was still this long in like the history of baseball. So I celebrate the crap out of it, but I'll never be able to celebrate it in the same ilk that you celebrated the NLCS when you absolutely dominated the Cubs. And you took that team's heart out by just hitting dinger after dinger after dinger. So I think it's everybody's, just like a fan can't celebrate it like we can celebrate it as a player. So to me, I think I celebrate it. I understand my role. I played behind Salvador Perez. Like, how much was I really going to do anyway?
Like playing behind Yachty, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll get to the current series. I have one more for you on some reflecting. I don't remember situation by situation. Obviously, it was a base open, all that. But do you remember back then in that Cubs series at any point thinking, I wonder if they want to try to avoid me a little bit more? Like whether it's an intentional walk or the good old pitch around. Did you ever think like, I'm feeling like better than I ever have, and they're still going after me?
Yeah, trying to sort out whether or not, the catchers that we got on here want to pick a fight with you. You're kind of trying to figure. Because if I pick wrong and I take 1-0 thinking they don't want to pick a fight with me, I might lose strike 1. And I'm not in the business of giving strikes away. We just don't get enough of them. So in the Cubs series, I never felt like they were really pitching around me at all. Because I got balls to hit. I'd say maybe the difference is from every other point earlier in my career was like I centered them, but I felt like I got good balls to hit. And I would say that's a testament to our lineup at the time. Like we had a long lineup. When we were coming through the National League trying to win the pennant that year. And our lineup had some real link. Like Lucas Duda kind of took that series over in Game 4. Darno, like it was a good lineup. And I felt like I got good balls to hit. Less good balls from the Royals. And so I feel like the Royals, so like I guess you could say in my career, I was talking with Adam Wainwright about this, is like I was pretty accurate and I didn't walk. All right. So it's like you found out I was accurate, maybe if you're the Cubs. And then the Royals found out if I was unwilling to walk, and I was. I didn't take bad balls just yet in that World Series. So better to take those bad balls.
Hey, you were hot. When you're hot, you swing at everything, and you figure you can hit everything. That's how you go from hot to cold, right? So and then when you get cold, you're like, I'm going to get back to being centering. But I got to ask you this. So in 2015, you guys went to the World Series as the Mets. And Kelly Johnson got traded over to you guys, which still makes me laugh. 55, this whole song. He went from the Braves to the Mets.
Come on, double nickels. Come on.
There you go. But did you guys know that actually we were 40-40, our Braves team that year? We were ahead of y'all, and we traded our whole team away, including Kelly and some other guys to everywhere here and there. And we ended up losing like
as well too.
I think we got Uribe that year. Or, I don't know, but we traded our whole team away. And like right before the All-Star break, and you guys went on to the World Series, and we're like, wait, why couldn't we have done that? So every time I see Kelly, I'm like, you're welcome, Kelly, for trading you to the Mets.
Yeah, well, so when Kelly came in and Uribe, we made some additions at the trade deadline along with Cespedes. And so Sandy Alderson in the front office did a great job. But like Terry Collins pulled the guys who were already there, myself, Duda. David didn't have to come to this meeting, but like Flores and Tejada. And Terry said, like, we got some real major leaguers coming in, like some sandlotters. These guys can ball. So it's a meritocracy now. You might not see your name on the menu unless you play well. Like I said, David didn't have to go to that meeting, but the rest of us did. And so it was just that it was a challenge that you're not just going to be in the lineup every night. It's time to be productive at this time of year. And it was different because I had never done postseason baseball before and even been in the hunt, for a division. And so that was a wake-up call. And then TC was right because Kelly and Uribe, they're major league players, and they were awesome for us. And I loved having them, loved their experience, how calm they were in big spots. Like Kelly went to DC that year, I think, when we swept him, he hit a big home run and just was never out of control of the moment. And I think it just shows how many times he had been there previously.
All right. Are the Mets out of control right now? What's going to happen tonight? The Mets-Brewers?
No.
Prime time?
Cute shirt.
It's not It's not an afternoon game. I mean, clearly, I get it. I'm not on SNY. I can wear whatever. I'm independent. I can wear whatever I want. I'll be a billboard.
That's right, contractor.
Yep.
No, this is a tasty one. I mean, looking at it, and you guys tell me what you think. I had like the pitching advantage. I felt like last night with the Mets because I like their starting pitcher better. Not to say that I didn't like the Brewers starting pitcher, but I just like Marte better. I feel like tonight, depending on how much you feel like Pat had to lean on the bullpen last night. I mean, the Milwaukee's bullpen ERA is like second in the league. So if it ends up being one of those, you like Milwaukee. Maybe, and I want to ask a question because I was listening to y'all earlier. How many outs would you want from Quintana? And then if you work it from the back, how many would you let Diaz try to get you? Because like I've been in a game before where like Kenley Jansen comes in the 7th, and that's unpleasant. Now he didn't make it through the 9th, but I didn't love seeing him in the 7th.
I won 6. I won 6 from Edwin, and I won 12 from Quintana. Quintana
right.
is the
Take him into Philly. Take those innings just rolling right over into Philly.
okay, because Quintana has killed the Brewers. Killed the Brewers. We beat him in game 163 against you guys when you were with Chicago. But other than that, like Quintana is killed the Brewers. He sees the Brewers uniform.
But you're only saying 12
So
outs.
it's like 4 outs. Yeah, 12 outs. So 4 innings. And then 2
outs, 4 innings.
from Diaz.
Yep.
All right, so that's 6. We still got place. We still need solid rocks to stand on.
If the Mets are going to win, he's going to have to give him 5. Quintana,
You think?
for me.
Quintana.
Because that means he's pitching well. And that means that's every out that Quintana can steal for him. Because I hate, and Murph, you know this, is the longer the starting pitcher can go, the less bullets you have to use from your bullpen. So every out, if Mendy looks at him like, man, Quintana, he gets through 4 and he's doing well and they have a lead. And he's like, oh, maybe we go out hitter by hitter. But he gets through the 5th. And then you're like, all right, well, now we'll go to the 6th. Right?
Yeah.
Those are just outs you steal. So for me, for the Mets to win, Quintana has to outlast Myers.
Okay, I like that. I like the way you say that. And you know what? Wally Backman said that when I was deep in the bushes last year playing in Long Island with him. Like, just beat the guy like your guy. He's like, if you're a second baseman, go have a better day than the second baseman. So maybe to your point, if you're a Q, go beat Tobias tonight and then see where we land.
And then also maybe you do what the Cubs didn't do to you back in the day and be careful with Jackson Chourio. Is that the guy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the Brewers are so accurate and they steal. That's how they get to second base. All right. And so it made me think of, I've been doing a lot of like dead ball era baseball. That's what I've been kind of like consuming my baseball probably the last 2.5 years. But like John McGraw's New York Giants in 1911 played Connie Mack's Athletics, and the Giants got there by stealing bases. So Connie Mack shut the whole thing down, slid step. And so the Mets, I think, have done an awesome job shutting down the running game because, like, I had a friend of mine, good friend of mine, Steve Barningham, who signed me with the Mets, say, like, if you can't get to second base from home plate, this game's just not for you offensively. So the Brewers, now last night they did it by the homer, but 17 for 17 during the regular season, they get to second by stealing. And so I think that if the Mets can shut the running game down, the lineup so far has been more easily navigated, forgive me, from a slugging standpoint, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, I guess I would kind of look at it that way. And then what? And then Chirios gets Manaea in the 1st, so he's got the platoon advantage. But then he gets Maton in the 8th, which he got him. My goodness, looked like a left-handed pull hitter.
Whoa.
But maybe Maton didn't look like he quite had it last night. If I'm being generous. And so,
yeah.
So if you get a righty against him in a spot and the scoreboard says you get to go and get him, I think maybe that's what I've kind of like this time of year. You have to attend to the scoreboard even more so than you do in the regular season. And the scoreboard a lot more times in the postseason says you got to be accurate. Like, I need you to push this ball forward. You know what I mean? Make them touch it. So,
and also AJ, he dropped a 1911 reference on us.
Ain't no way he's watching those games. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Not watching them. I've been doing Ken Burns' documentary. All right, fair play. You called me on it. I like it. You say the quiet parts out loud, AJ. I dig that.
Yeah, I do. And by the way, Murph, just when you called out Kratz for his shirt, he is the biggest homer. Kratz, you never played for the Mets, right? Otherwise, you have a Mets shirt on. It just depends, you know. He'll have a Philly shirt on.
The Mets shirt on.
Did you? What, you played for the Mets?
No, I said I would. If Murph sends me a Mets shirt, I'll rock that, John, all to and through. Just because you wear all your golf golf uniforms that you get. You pick up your T-shirt at Liberty National and
I have Liberty National on today. Look, boom, nailed it. Good call.
Exactly. All right, let's finish with this because, Murph, there's a lot of fans in our chat that are saying it was unfair that we only talked about the Mets just now and not the Nationals postseason history for him too. What?
That's fine.
Fans
are tough.
They just
Dude, he's a
they
Met.
just want one.
Dude,
they just
nobody
want
remembers
one thing
Daniel
on-
Murphy. No offense, Murph, as a national. Everyone remembers Murph as a
Fair
Met.
play.
Okay,
I do.
Murph ain't going to London with the Nats. All right, he went to London with the Mets.
No,
Well,
he was,
the Nats were great to me and my family, and my most productive seasons were there. But it would appear that, yes, the run in 2015, and then we were there in New York for a decade as well too. But those DC teams could ball. I mean, that's what got me thinking about Kinley in 16 when he came in, and then Kershaw, and then Clayton finished it off. He got probably the last 3 outs, I think. So I guess I was talking to my wife about it last night. Like an elimination game, you almost back everything up. So they went to Kinley in the 7th. It makes you, it's because of the discussion about whether or not do you run Diaz out there last night in the 8th. And so, hindsight's, 2020 obviously, but yeah.
These
DC
guys
was
said
fun.
no. They said no. They said you don't bring him out in the 8th inning yesterday. But you're right. I was
would've.
actually at that
I
series that he's
would've.
talking about. You would have done it?
I told my wife I would have done it. And that's not to second guess Mindy in the moment, at all by any stretch, because you've been going to Maton. You wouldn't be here without the run that you've been on. I didn't see the whole game. I was at the Sandlot with our 6-year-old. He was balling as well. He was slinging his stick yesterday. So I didn't see the whole game leading up to it. But as the inning unfolded heading into it with the top of the lineup, I just got this sense that I was like, I want the lead after this inning, and I'll figure it out later, sort of thing. Now, that doesn't make me right. That's just the feeling I got. I was like, I want the lead. And then if he ends up throwing 8 pitches, I might look at Sugar and say, hey, you got another one in you? If he throws 28 to get through it, but I got the lead, then, we'll just start trying to sort it on the way there. Go get a couple runs, fellas. That's what we'll do. Extend the lead.
Right, and
So
maybe
that
they
was
would
my
have. And
thought.
also, you're right, because, hey, they told him the other day he was done, and he said, screw you, I'm not done. I'm going back out. And he did, and it worked out for them the other day. So I'll give him that. But, hey, Murph, this was awesome, man. Great to have you on here for the first time. Welcome to the media world. It's been great watching you this year on SNY. You're doing a great job, dude. So thanks for joining us. Enjoy the postseason. Would love to have you back sometime.
No, thank you guys so much. And again, this is a good place for ball talk. Thanks for letting me express myself. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I knew you would thrive here. That's Daniel Murphy. We'll be right back. You can put up some numbers. We're going through the baseball reference page.
The one game, 2016, we were playing the Pirates. Had a 1-0 shutout. Mark Melancon came in. He hit a foul homer off of a cutter in, off of Mark Melancon. I went through every pitch twice before I called the cutter again. He was shaking off, stepped off, shaking off, stepped off. And I knew he wanted to go to the cutter. And Mark Melancon was an all-star. Murph was an all-star. Murph came off the bench because he pulled his hammy in the all-star game that year. So he threw another cutter in, hits a dinger, ties it up. We go 18 innings. But that was when Dusty Baker fell asleep and Starling Marte. I was on deck. Starling Marte hits a homer off of Oliver Perez. Dusty Baker was asleep. He should have walked him to get to me.
Wow.
He let Starling Marte hit, and he hit a dinger.
They let juiced up Starling beat them?
He was.
That was uncalled for.
What? Why?
Do you realize what Scott did? Am I the only one caught what Scott just said?
Yeah. It was different time.
Wait, what? I'm not allowed to say if a player gets popped for what?
Did he get popped?
Yes.
In the WBC.
Oh,
I wouldn't say that. Dude, I would not say that.
That's why I was like, wait a second. Did I miss something? So obviously I didn't know he got popped.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He did.
He got a good old classic April 2017 steroid suspension. I remember covering that. Obviously, I had to cover it differently back then where my job was. But yeah, 2017, 80-game suspension because there was also a tie-in to Andrew McCutchen being pissed about getting moved to a corner, I think was around that time. And that was a whole to-do. and then he ends up getting to go back to center because Starling got popped.
There's a whole offbeat foul territory story about that. How he was on the WBC, hurt himself. A trainer from not a Major League Baseball trainer, a trainer gave him something. I heard it from as close as I can hear it from somebody's mouth. So he made a wrong decision, no doubt. But I don't think he was a repeat offender.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. And so I'm allowed to say during that time period, there was a juiced up situation. Whether you knew it was in there or not, it was in there.
That was all from our Daniel Murphy as a Nat story.
Hey, people forget guys that have gotten caught.
Oh, please.
Cruz, Class A, look them up.
Francisco Cervelli.
I've been told that AJ has a lengthy diatribe, monologue, whatever, on his lock. So let's go through it. KC dubs for Kratz and I. And no, that's not a typo. We locked him in at different times. We both get the hit. AJ won the day before, falls in this one. And we move to today's lock, AJ. So yes, these were reset. So we've got fresh money bags for the postseason. So it looks like small numbers at the time. What are you cooking up here? What's the big deal?
Oh, y'all gonna love this one. All right, ready? We're gonna start. Since there's only one game, I had to make it fun. I had to make it worth my time to watch this game. Okay. Starting with over 7.5 in the Mets and the Brewers, because there's going to be some hits. There's going to be one guy from the bullpen is going to come in and gas it. What team? I don't know. I'm going to take Tobias Myers giving up over 1.5 earned runs because someone's probably going to hit a home run from him because he also didn't give up a run against the Mets last time. So I see him giving up 2. Mets money line. That's why I have the Liberty National. It's close to New York. It's in New Jersey, but it's close enough. You can see the skyline. And last but not least, Jose Quintana over 3.5 punch-outs. That's it. Just 4. Q. I caught your Major League debut. You can get me 4 punch-outs tonight. That gets me to plus 600. So let's go Mets. LFGM, baby.
Wow. That is quite the cooking.
It's heavy.
Yeah. Which one are you most concerned about on there? I'll tell you mine.
The Quintana.
No, I'm most concerned about Myers, either that he shoves or gives up a run and they remove him, or he has a short out.
Yeah, but I just think that he might walk a guy and someone pops one and it's 2, and he gives up 2. Like that's what or if it happens quick, like boom, boom, boom. Sometimes you give up 2 runs and the manager's like, oh wait, we already down 2-0. Like we don't even know what's happening here.
The Mets money line. I just don't know. Not that I'm saying like the Brewers are going to win or the Mets are going to win. That's the one I'm most concerned about. I agree with you. It's going to be over. I agree with you. You can pop 2 runs off a guy before they can even get the bullpen hot. And my bet, Quintana with over 3.5 Ks. I'm just going straight up, heads up, Quintana versus Tobias Myers. I'm getting plus 110 on it. I'm putting down 100. He's going to have more strikeouts than Tobias Myers is.
Wow. Okay. That's a unique one. So we're all playing off the K props here. I'm not a huge K prop guy, but I do enjoy it from time to time. And I'm going to go Tobias Myers over 4.5 Ks. I think he could give them some length. I mean, damn, he's been good all year. He looked damn good against them last time around. I know that's not necessarily an indicator that they won't adjust and smash him this time, but I think he'll get to the 5K mark. K projections that I like to use had him just a little bit over, so it's close, but Hondo to win 110. And we'll see what happens. Only one game to choose from. That's what makes locks in the postseason tough.
If you notice, I went heavy Mets. All my stuff is good for the Mets because I picked the Mets to win. Like I think the Mets need to win a higher scoring game. So since I'm picking the Mets to win, and I picked the Mets to win the series before, and sorry, Murph, if you guys win, and no disrespect, but I had to go heavy Mets. I had to go heavy Mets betting in order to get my prop higher, my number higher, right? And
yes, if Quintana struggles early and they remove him, your whole bet is just toast.
That's fine. No sweat bet. No sweat bet.
Yeah, either way, right? No sweat bets could be losses. All right, so let's look at a way that you can capitalize off a home run prop that you've got. So it is the BetMGM bullpen jackpot special for the postseason. You can win a share of a daily $50,000 BetMGM bullpen jackpot and bonus bets if the player that you pick for a home run in that game hits a homer that lands in an MLB team bullpen, either team, right, in that particular ballpark, and then prizing will be paid out in bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And we will be right back to slap and get you all set up for Dodgers territory if you're watching on YouTube, coming soon. Alonzo in the chat said, nobody should use it as an excuse, but MLB weekday games for the playoffs are BS. You can see both sides of that. If you're a fan, Alonzo, why you don't like?
Dude,
you don't.
There's 4 games. You got to get people to watch them all.
Right. That's the thing is you're trying to appeal. And actually, I gave credit this year. I don't know for a fact, but I think that they started them a little bit later. I think last year it was more in the 12:30-ish, 1 o'clock range.
Yep.
And the first game was, I think, 2:30, which is nice of them because they're not trying to go up against FT. I get it, right? The ratings on Valley Sports are off the charts, so it's tough. But 2:30 start time does at least help. It creates more overlap. We had less overlap last year because I think it was more along the lines of like the 1 o'clock, then the 3:30, then the 5:30, then the 7, whatever it was. I guess the only other argument you could make is we don't have the later start times, but then you get the bitching from the fans. Like if it's Braves Padres and you wanted to start that one at 9:30, then Atlanta fans are going to be like, my kids can't watch. But you can't please. Here's the thing: you can't please everyone, so you just got to do the best that you can. Someone is always going to be pissed. But for me, AJ, I understand a fan saying, "Hey, I'm a hard worker. It's a weekday. I can't do anything about a 2:30 p.m. game." And you just got to hope your team advances because eventually the games get to the nighttime.
Sounds good.
There's nothing you can do. They're not going to overlap. Here's what they're not going to do. ESPN's not going to put a game on at 7 on ESPN and a game on at 7 on ESPN2 because they compete against each other. So that's why I actually think they've been spaced out better. Yes, they start later, but they went 2:30, 4:30 yesterday, 7:30 and 8:30, I believe, were the game times yesterday. So I actually think they were spread out nicely where you got to watch most of each game.
Yep. And it's only for a round. They've actually spread out the DS more now, right? The DS used to be constructed differently. Now they don't mess with football the same way, right? They try and kind of give the off day after game 1, right, to one of the sides.
So the side that plays first, yeah.
Yeah, create as many
AL gets the extra off day this year.
Yep. So I like that
too.
This year,
for the DS this year, the game times are 1:08, 4:08, 6:38, 8:38. That's on Saturday. There's 4 games on Saturday. Okay, then Sunday it goes to 2 games, 4:08, 8 o'clock. Right? So
that's
and then
good.
AL
that's
has
really good.
AL has Monday, and then so there's an extra off day there.
I agree. Yeah, they're doing a good job on that one. I'll give them credit. Let's slap. So we have like 2-3 minutes. I'll just shout out the one team we didn't really get to a ton, but we spoke about the series was the Braves falling to the Padres. Good run for Atlanta in my mind, based off what they dealt with. It's in my mind one of the only teams that can use a legit injury excuse. Acuna, Riley, Strider, and then Sale at the finish line. That's 4 of your top 5. I mean, no other team is throwing that out there. No other team has 4 out of their top 5 out like that. Not even close, really. Superstars on your team when you have superstars, all of them or many of them out. Obviously, there's still plenty. That's the whole point is like, that was a good game yesterday, AJ. That was a close game.
It was. It was a well-played game, and Padres just beat them. I mean, Fried pitched well. I mean, Fried was unlucky, man. You could just tell early that wasn't like meant to be for the Braves. I mean, The first 2 innings, how many infield hits did the Padres have? It was like infield hit, broken bat, bloop. I mean, if you're Max Fried, you're going, gosh, what the heck do I have to do to get a guy to hit a ground ball at somebody?
I thought I was going to swing. They had the bases loaded and got nothing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is he not running through second base there? And then I think that line drive off of Max's tush, I think may have affected him later on. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the Braves have had trouble capitalizing in those spots all year, right? Like all the Braves fans on socials, like, we can't get it done third base, less than 2 outs, that whole deal. The Mariners had a lot of problems with that this year. So anyway, a quick Kratz hats, while some of you can look on screen and find out a way to get an FT hat, foulterritoryshop.com, but they don't have this.
They don't have the International League.
Which has been around since 1894.
1894. First year.
Daniel Murphy was not watching 1894 games.
1911
was his start time.
I mean, he might say
that was so epic.
He was like,
he might say
Corporal General McGregor was managing the
and then he got
the Tri-City Black Sox.
He got called by the Air Force, had to leave for 3 months, came back, ended up with scurvy.
The Navy. They didn't have planes back when they started that Ken Burns documentary.
Have you ever watched those? I mean, you've seen them on, right? Ken Burns?
I've definitely watched them.
Yeah.
I've never watched them.
I feel like I had to. Like, I like baseball enough that I'm like, I feel like I have to. I want them to finish them. I want them to have past the steroid era.
Right. I want it more modern and a little faster. I'm kind of ADD. I'm pretty like cold with movies, shows, etc. Like, if it's not doing it for me, I'm out. Right. I won't ride out. Like, this bothers some people, but it's like, I won't ride out a series if someone's like, it's really good, but you got to get through seasons 1 and 2. I'm like, no, sorry. That's not okay.
Seasons 1 and 2. That's a lot of seasons.
That's a lot.
Dude, there's a lot of that.
I like the ones where seasons 1 and 2 are the best, and then 3, 4, and 5, you're like, like Prison Break.
Yeah.
I love the first 2 seasons.
And then you just bounce
then
after that.
That was okay. He didn't need to go back to prison again.
He did to get his brother out.
Yeah, a couple times.
Goodbye, Valley Sports TV crowd. Enjoy life in Game 3. Everyone else stick around for a few. Oh, Owl in the chat earlier said that home plate umpire Nestor, I don't know how to say his name. Seja was fired, didn't miss a call. He had owl eyes. Do we have an ump scorecard? Should we go through it?
I didn't see it. He was the one that threw last game of the season. Or no, the game where Francisco Alvarez against the Brewers.
But no, it was Phil Cuzzy yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know when Seja.
I don't think Sehal was behind the plate yesterday, was he?
No, it was Phil Cuzzy.
Yeah,
maybe Owl doesn't have owl eyes.
maybe it was nighttime and he was awake, and then he was sleeping during the day, so he couldn't be there in a day game. I didn't think he'd be.
He's talking about the day before. Okay, fair. So that was the game 1. Let's see. 100% called ball accuracy. 92% called strike accuracy. He missed 3 calls.
Atlanta, San Diego game. That's legit.
Well played.
Shocker.
Good call out.
You got those.
Yeah. Hey, if you want more on the Padres taking on the Dodgers, there's a show for that. It's called Dodgers Territory. It's coming up in like 30 seconds. We're going to bounce. Look at Clint. He looks so happy and excited for the playoffs, but really inside he's kind of in pain since they don't know who's starting game 3 in that series.
Deep down, he's nervioso, I promise you.
He is nervioso as hell.
Nervioso. He should be. But then Shohei's going to hit. If Shohei makes an out first at bat.
Oh, it's over. Season's over.
Season's over.
I thought you were going to say then he's going to just step on the mound.
Well, we know AJ's pick. Scotty, who's winning tonight? Because we're doing the post-game show, too.
Oh,
Who's winning tonight? You got to say it with
That's Mr. Met, bro. He's Mr. Met. If he doesn't pick the Mets, his dad will never speak to him again.
The
Roberts?
The Brewers. Dude, I picked the Brewers in this round. I mean, it's one thing to go against your preseason pick, which I did.
Scott hates his father. You heard it here first.
Headline.
Robert Braun.
My dad's probably happy. You know what he'll say? He'll be like, thanks for picking the Brewers. Can't wait for the Mets to win now. Sorry about it. My whole family will do that. So I'm good. Hey, I'm breaking down what I see. I picked Milwaukee. I'm not going against my pick in 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's like yesterday we made those picks.
Yeah. And hey, that pick didn't look great up until late in the game last night. But, dude, Milwaukee's good.
I think they're a better team.
The Brewers?
I do.
Yeah. It's a good team. And
I can't tell you why they're a better team. I just think they're a better team.
okay. Especially if Jackson Chourio looks like that. Holy shit.
Willie Adames hasn't had a big hit yet.
Contreras
will get like 1 or 2 walks. That was going to be my lock. I thought it was set at like over, 0.5. It was 1 walk. And I thought he was going to get a walk today. I think they're afraid of him more than they're afraid of Willie or Reese or any of those guys.
Not Chourio, though.
Well, not Chourio, but Chourio.
The thing with Chourio is 2 things. One, after a rough first 2 months, he's been one of the best players in baseball.
I've said it a bunch of times. He should be in the Rookie of the Year discussion. He's not going to win, but he definitely should be involved in it. If you look at his numbers, from the moment from about June 1st on, he's been incredible.
And number 2, his contract that he signed before the season, I think kind of already paying for itself. I mean,
8 years,
look what he's done.
$86 million.
Yeah, now
2 team options.
that gets locked in based on, some people are like, that's such a bargain. How does a player like that get that if he's going to be this good? Well, you're a league minimum guy for the first several years. So that's the way the system works. We'll have plenty of time in the offseason to go over that, but damn, look at those swings. He's a 5-tool player. He's a great player. We talked about him a lot last year.
He's got to make all the catches out there, too.
You're saying because of the one flub game 1? That was the game. He makes that
others.
Catch. Maybe they win game 1.
He's had others out there. He's still learning. They're moving. They had him in right. He's going to left.
What is he, 20?
Different angles. He's 20 years old.
Still 20? Yeah.
Like 200 and some days.
He's not 21 until March. I mean, that is special. We hype certain guys, and certain guys don't do it right away. Like Jackson Holliday, right? He has not been a star instantly. Jackson Chourio, after 2 months, star in the sport for the last 4 months of the season. Jackson Merrill, he never really struggled that much.
He had a 542 OPS, 558 OPS in April and May, and then he went 897, 876, 925, 831 in September.
That's a star player if you're putting up numbers like that.
Oof.
Yeah.
All striking out at less than a 20% clip, too.
Mm-hmm.
They got to make him walk.
And going up tacos.
That's crazy. That is a crazy shot.
Crazy. Quick news hitters, and then we're going to Dodgers. So Anthony Rizzo hasn't attempted baseball activities yet, according to Brian Cashman. Long shot to be NLDS bound. Michael Eyes confirmed Brandon Hyde's back for the Orioles next year. I know there were some fans, we'll get to it, that wanted us to talk about Ross Atkins and the Blue Jays and that whole situation. And, Atkins and Shapiro are still running point.
Brent Strom.
That's the big one. How about that?
And his assistant pitching coach, Dan Carlson, and bullpen coach, Mike Fetters, will not return to the Diamondbacks next year in their current roles.
That's amazing. Fetters has been there forever, too. That's what's an interesting one to me.
Yes. I don't know.
Mike
Dan
Fetters
Carlson
has been there a long time.
That's a big one.
If you ask Torey Lovello, he'll tell you that Brent Strom was the reason they became good. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, he changed kind of their whole pitching philosophy.
Yep.
Brent Strom's a legend. Period.
Coming over from the Astros, not just sticking in one ilk the whole time. He's not afraid to make changes. That's why how they beat the Phillies last year in games 6 and 7.
You can make a case for Brent Strom as a Hall of Famer. Hall of Fame coach. I know it's like a weird. No, that's too much.
No, I'm not saying
it only can be a manager.
He's great, but he's
like brought the modern.
I don't know enough about him.
He said fastballs up in the zone while everyone was like, "Ha, loser! You have no idea what you're talking about. Sinkers down only."
And then spider tack too.
Yep, that's big, different but big. Is important. Go watch Dodgers territory right now. If you're watching us, we'll change the channel for you. But subscribe to them; they're awesome. See you tomorrow.